Second week of February 2026, and it has been a significantly better week than January and the first week of February. So we're gaining some traction here. We're gaining momentum. Second week of February, three trades, two break even, and one win. That's a total net profit of 95 pips total this week. So again, it's still slow in terms of results, but considering what we've been through, considering the plan that we've put into place, we followed absolutely everything. So the systems and the checklists have been followed, and the accuracy overall has improved quite significantly. We've been beginning to look for and identify quicker, more higher quality trade positions, which I'm very grateful for, and it's all been put into work. Now, the one key biggest thing that we're still looking to focus on for the third week of Feb is that management planning or the set and forget which is needed. It's basically from last week, my goal was removing unplanned management, and that still hasn't been ticked off this week. It's still something that is hindering my progression. It's actually hindered my progression a couple of times this week, and it's the main focus to eliminate because no matter what, if we're closing out too early, we're letting the runners, we're missing out on profits. Yet, if I take a trade and I have a set stop loss, if it goes into drawdown, I'm leaving it, right? I don't cut loss, I don't cut risk. So what makes it fair that I'm cutting my winners too early? Either way, the repetition and high quality consistency is still coming. We can see that we're getting more consistent with the trade entries that we're taking. The breakdowns, the accuracy, the analysis is all there. And the energy coming up to the charts is a little bit better too. We just need a little bit more discipline on coming to the charts a little bit earlier so we can break down and prepare things a little bit quicker and just be prepared to take a high quality trade position and understand that all of the plan has to be done and set in stone before your execution has actually happened. So, the one big thing that I wanted to touch on was that psychological barrier. And that was also part of the management planning and the set and forget that's needed. But this psychology barrier restricted me from entering an actual validated position. So my checklists was all ticked, everything was validated, all of the requirements were met, but I didn't take the trade. And that's because I hesitated on the psychology of the what if I am wrong. Every single trader will have this. For sure, every single trader will have this. It's something I've been battling for quite some time. And honestly, it is pretty easy to just get rid of it. You just gotta be almost gambling, but you're gambling with all of your plans, the checklist, the requirements met. That's essentially what you're doing, right? It was on Wednesday's trade position, and everything met the requirement for price action to do what we needed it to do. It came all the way down. We wanted to utilize the 4 hour time frame. So, the rundown of the trade position, we saw price retrace, we saw price have a range too, we wanted to get into an entry. Everything with the textbook plays was checked. We understood you got a wick fill, you want to utilize the targets towards the 4 hour candle lows because the current 4 hour candle had no low, no bottom wick, and therefore I wanted to take the sells. But the only thing that stopped me was that feeling. And that feeling cost me around 5-10 seconds. And that 5-10 seconds was my window to actually enter into the market. So that is the biggest thing that we need to focus on for next week is to stop having this feeling in the head. If everything gives you the green light to take it and you're still unsure, you just got to take the trade because you understand that you've done your levels, you've identified levels and ranges to the best of your ability, you've identified the liquidity areas to the best of your ability. If everything's done correctly, then you shouldn't be second guessing what your accuracy is or what your confidence is. So the aim is to just trust the analysis, trust the process. If it means that I'm taking more losses next week, then that is what it is. But we now know that we're still moving. We can move back, we can move forward, but the worst thing is to stay static. And that's my biggest fear. So, psychology is a big thing. That's the big priority for next week. But the second week has been absolutely phenomenal. That three trades, we had two break evens. So we kicked off one on Monday. Monday's trade position, took the break of the lows, came back up, break even, stopped out. And then we did take one on Tuesday, which was attempted buy positions, which unfortunately we got stopped out because price retested the lows before actually coming all the way down. So you peaked and then price action started pushing down. We wanted at least TP1 at 5055, 5056, which unfortunately we never got. And then the last thing was on Friday. That was the last trade position. And this was a really fantastic trade position. And again, manual management is also part of the psychology. I did not have big enough balls to hold this. It was finishing out the week. I said, yeah, let's just secure the profits on the table here. We secured 84 pips out of this trade position, but it could have been a plus 272 pips. So I closed out with some form of logic, the 15-minute close with no top wick, which typically means if you come up with the top wick first, price is going to come down. That's in my experience what we've seen. But the higher time frame was very, very bullish. We really should have just trusted the analysis here and used the set and forget. So every single trade should have three outcomes. It should either be a break even outcome, a win, or a hard stop loss. We're not going to do this dynamic management thing. We're not going to do trailing stop losses right now. And we're not going to do reducing risk at X places or closing out manually when we start to see price reaction. That's something that we don't like. I want to have the set strategy of when I'm in the charts, when I'm actually about to take a trade position, I need to know what is my execution level, what is the trade plan, where are my management positions, where are my levels that I need to secure profits or set risk to break even, so on and so forth. That's the only thing that I'm going to do. I cannot make a decision on something that I've already taken a trade. I'm not now going to say, right, let's close out at this area because I think price is going to do this, or when price does that, I'm going to close. No, I want to set my plan before I execute, and that is the goal. So, a couple of things to start focusing on for next week, but all in all, the learning from this week has been absolutely phenomenal. We had fake outs, so go watch that. We had two videos on fake outs. I had one that identified it, and the second day I tried it, we actually used the model correct. Like the whole thing was spot on, and that's that. So pretty grateful for this week. Bring on the third week of Feb because there's a lot to go over.